Avengers launched in an abysmal state last year, and the ride's only gotten a little bit better since then. We got two new heroes, slight adjustments to the loot, and small tweaks to the endgame helped make the game better, but not nearly enough for the game to be considered a success for the community or even Square Enix. One thing everyone's agreed on though was that the campaign was good and that the gameplay at its core is fun. But after the story content, you were left with a repetitive, abysmal endgame that rewarded mediocre loot and left no real reason to play the game aside from just general wanting to play the game. A little over a year later, we finally have the biggest expansion to the game yet, War for Wakanda, not only bringing Black Panther, but also bringing the region of Wakanda. The developers said that this would include new enemies, new assets, and a new event running at the first week of launch. We now know this is Corrupted Vibranium. The update also added two new status effects, meaning Vibranium and Sonic, and we also know that there is a raid-like event coming eventually. I've played all the expansion has to offer, and I've leveled up Black Panther to max level. I'm now going for some exotics and some new gear, and for the older characters, new gear with the new status effects. So I believe now I can give my true opinion on the expansion and answer the most important question: is it worth coming back to this game to experience War for Wakanda and Black Panther? I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'll just say that the story is about Claw working with AIM to invade Wakanda on a quest for Vibranium. And I'll just say what I thought of the characters and the overall events and what I thought about the quality. Everyone new to the voice cast is doing a fantastic job. Everyone feels like they naturally fit into the game. The returning voice cast also does a good job, giving again some new funny or interesting conversations to, for example, loading in the elevator. The interactions between T'Challa and the rest of the Avengers are great. And again, the quality matches or even exceeds the base game's campaign at times. Not in length, but definitely in quality, visuals, and gameplay. I would say the final boss for this expansion was actually really fun. It was challenging without just being a bullet sponge situation. I won't say what they did, but I like what they did here, and I hope that future boss fights incorporate this kind of strategy and gameplay into them. As far as Wakanda itself, it's a well-done accomplishment by Crystal Dynamics. This isn't just a jungle biome like the one that they currently have in the game. No, this is a whole new biome that's been designed for more verticality. It has more unique landscapes and structures. Even the resource crates and the loot chests have been redesigned. Even when you have a situation where you have to rescue someone trapped in a cage, it's not Theo coming to get them, it's someone else. The main hub is also the best designed hub in the game, hands down. This is easily the best one, not even just from the war room where you can look out and see a beautiful view of this city, but the actual palace itself looks amazing. The throne room, for example, looks stunning. Black Panther's gameplay is ridiculously fun. He's obviously melee focused for the most part, but they did give him a fun dagger attack for his ranged way of dealing damage. This can be customized to either, when you do your third throw, it does a tri attack where it shoots out 3 daggers in a spread, kind of like Kate's scatter arrow, or you can change it to be one kinetic dagger that does a damage explosion, especially with whatever status you have for the dagger. His melee also incorporates Vibranium in a great way. Once your intrinsic bar is full, you can enter an enhanced state, and when you do this, he does this amazing shockwave attack, almost like a huge flex. And when you do this, you deal more damage, and then you can also counter people without stopping a combo. That is the biggest game changer for Black Panther, in my opinion. You can literally continue doing a combo on one person as you're being attacked, hit R2, and he won't even flinch. It does the stun damage, it does the counter damage, but the combo doesn't stop like other characters. His assault heroic is a spear, and this is also customizable to where you can either throw it once and it can pin up to 3 enemies, change it to where you can throw 3 spears that do a little less damage, it can only pin 1 enemy each, or change it to where it does like a damage explosion or even does a vortex effect that sucks in enemies nearby. It's a very fun assault heroic, and it can do a lot of damage when you spec it right. His support heroic sends out these high stun damage beams that pick up health packs or also do high stun damage to enemies. And this one is also customizable. Again, you can have it go and scour the battlefield for health pickups or just have it do a high stun damage. And that one is very useful. You can either be a support hero with it, or you could just use it in support as well. Okay, here's all the enemies being stunned, go do your takedown, get a heroic orb. Gives you a lot of options. His ultimate is where he summons Boss in a giant panther form, and Boss will run in a straight line, and this will do high damage, and it leaves Black Panther in a state called Bass Chosen. And here you can do more damage, and you can actually block and counter any attack at the cost of the intrinsic bar, and this includes the red attacks. So it's similar to how you can block anything with Brooklyn Brawler on when you're playing as Captain America, but here you can actually do a full counter, and there's no limit because your intrinsic bar will fill up so fast. And that's what I'll get to in a second. Your intrinsic bar is so easy to fill up. Just basically mash R2. Anything that's not a red attack will give you intrinsic if you just hold R2 while it hits. It's very fun to abuse this system. And I don't see them nerfing it because I think that's part of the playstyle of Black Panther. They can't obviously have him be invincible because of the vibranium suit, but this was still a fun time nonetheless. As far as the new modes go, most of them are the same, but there were some cool puzzles at the beginning of the campaign. There's also a new type of giant machine enemy to take down, and it has a good amount of verticality, so it's something different while still incorporating similar mechanics. They also finally added a horde mode, but I'll be honest, it's kind of a bad horde mode. Luckily, I think this could be tweaked and made better, but yeah, it's a good sign of things to come. I just don't like the way it currently is in the game. It just feels like an extended drop zone defend mission, so not the best thing they could have done there, but for the first time with a horde mode, not bad, and I look forward to see what they can do with it in the future. And unfortunately, here's where the game is still having its biggest problem, the end game. So the end game for the game is still basically the same. You do your dailies, you get better loot, you try to make a specific build. We know more content is coming, like the cloning labs, the eventual raid, and the patrol mode. Hopefully that adds more content that's actually playable and gives meaning to a step back in. Because unfortunately, after a week of playing this, I feel most people will have seen everything and be right back at square one, except now they have another character to play as. If their plan is to add new content like this every few months, then I don't know if I can say it's worth sticking around. I can definitely recommend the game right now for the single player content, but if all they're going to do is add characters, add a new area, but not add anything that gives the game a competitive type of feel or anything, I really can't say it's worth staying around. I do see the potential for this game though. This DLC was a huge step in the right direction, and I'm just imagining a situation where we get an Asgard biome of this quality with Loki being the fight. That would be amazing, and I hope that this game is around to see that. I don't know what they're going to do for Spider-Man when he comes out next, but we'll see eventually. So I'm just going to go into what I think the game needs right now, because this is what will help the game actually stay around long enough for us to get stuff like Asgard. The game needs some type of competitive aspect. Not necessarily PvP, but a way for players to test their builds, be rewarded for doing high damage or high stun damage, whatever, with leaderboards to show who is doing this. Or some type of competitive mode where there's a match win, where if you win the match, you get more loot and you get praise. Avengers could heavily benefit from a mode similar to Gambit from Destiny 2. If you don't know what that is, it's basically 4v4, but not directly. They're both, 4 players are put into their own separate arenas, and it's 4 players in one arena and another 4 in another arena. And your goal is to kill enemies, bank motes that drop when they're defeated, and you can use those motes to either send over enemies or hazards to the other team, or even invade in some situations. And it was a fun game mode because if you're not a fan of PvP, you don't necessarily have to do anything. It would get stressful when someone invaded, but that was it. Other than that, you could have a PvE versus build focused build, and it would actually work out in the long run. Avengers needs something like that. It doesn't have to be a complete copy, but it definitely needs some type of mode like that where, okay, 4 players versus 4 players, whoever wins must have been scrolls or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities they could do with that. Clans could also be a good thing for the game. In addition to leaderboards need to be in this game because the whole point of this game is doing builds, a damage build, or a stun build, or a survivability build. Reward players for getting these god roll loot drops and show it for all people on display so they can be like, oh cool, he got that piece, maybe I should go run this mission again, try and get that. It'll again will give the game longevity because right now your goal is pretty much just get a high melee or precision number and you're set. And I apologize for the sound in the background, someone's cutting the lawn. But I would say Black Panther is a step in the right direction. There were some loot drops I got that were actually involving some actual cool perks. Nothing I would say meets the quota of being exotic, but some cool drops nonetheless. I also made a video about what I think loot should look like. I literally came up with 5 exotics for each character, not including Black Panther. Go check that out if you want. And in that, we're just going to get to the closing. In closing, I really enjoyed War for Wakanda. I still have some objectives to complete for the current event, Corrupted Vibranium, and I want to get some Omega level threat gear for each hero eventually, so that's still a big thing to do as I can only play it 3 times currently, and after this event ends, only once again per week. I definitely recommend picking up the game now, given how cheap you can get it for. I saw it going for like $30 on Amazon, maybe even lower if you get a used copy. You'll have a good time with the single player experience, guaranteed, especially now that all the bugs and quality of life features have come full circle. May even have a fun time with friends and all the in-game stuff. The future is still a mystery for Avengers, unfortunately, but I will say if upcoming expansions remain of this quality, then we're in for a good time. I just hope we get more involved and competitive sense of content for the in-game. The in-game is this game's biggest problem. This expansion didn't do much to fix it, and the future is still it's still a mystery. I expect us to get another roadmap, maybe around the time we get Spider-Man revealed. So until then, that's it. If I had to rate this expansion, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's a very fun expansion. Wakanda is beautiful. Black Panther is fun. Yeah, I recommend the game, especially since you can get it for so cheap. I don't recommend playing it on last gen though. If you can, get it on PC or PS5, Xbox Series S or X. Get it on next gen or PC, because on last gen the game shouldn't have been on last gen. But that's it. Let me know what you think of War for Wakanda in the comments. Are you excited for the game? Are you just gonna say dead game in the comments? Do all that down below. And that's it. This is Von Red 1 signing out.